We live in a world that teaches us, often without saying it out loud, that being strong means being invulnerable. We are encouraged to have answers, to stay composed, to never let the cracks show. From a very young age, we learn that uncertainty is weakness and that asking for help is something to be embarrassed about. Yet, if you pause for a moment and look honestly at your life, you may notice that the moments that truly shaped you were not the ones where everything was under control, but the ones where it wasn't. Vulnerability is not about oversharing or exposing every detail of your life. It is not a performance, and it is not a weakness dressed up as courage. Vulnerability is the quiet decision to show up as you are, even when there are no guarantees. It is choosing to speak when silence feels safer, choosing connection when isolation feels easier, and choosing honesty when pretending would cost less in the short term. Most of us spend an incredible amount of energy trying to manage how we are perceived. We polish our stories, filter our emotions, and rehearse our responses in advance. We do this because we want to belong, but ironically, this constant self-editing often pushes real connection further away. When we hide the parts of ourselves that feel messy, uncertain, or unfinished, we also hide the very parts that make us human. An easy life is not a life without pain, failure, or fear. It is a life where you are no longer at war with those experiences. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you stop wasting energy on pretending and start investing energy in living. You begin to understand that discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong, but often a sign that something meaningful is happening. Think about how often fear disguises itself as productivity. We keep busy to avoid feeling. We chase achievements to avoid stillness. We scroll, plan, optimize, and distract ourselves because sitting quietly with our thoughts feels too risky. Vulnerability invites us to slow down and ask uncomfortable questions like, what am I avoiding? What am I afraid people would see if I stopped performing? At the core of vulnerability is uncertainty. There is no vulnerability without risk. You cannot love deeply without the risk of loss. You cannot create without the risk of failure. You cannot be authentic without the risk of rejection. The attempt to eliminate risk from life does not make life safer. It makes it smaller. An easy life is not built by avoiding risk, but by learning how to carry it with grace. Many people confuse vulnerability with weakness because it often comes with visible emotion. Tears, hesitation, pauses, and silence make us uncomfortable, especially in a culture that celebrates constant confidence. But strength is not the absence of emotion, it is the capacity to stay present with it. True resilience grows not from numbing ourselves, but from allowing ourselves to feel and recover. Shame is one of the biggest obstacles to vulnerability. Shame tells us that something is wrong with who we are, not just with what we did. It thrives in secrecy and silence, convincing us that if others really knew us, they would turn away. But shame loses its power when it is met with empathy. When we name it, share it with someone safe, and realize we are not alone, its grip begins to loosen. Connection is not built through perfection. It is built through shared humanity. When someone admits they are struggling, it gives others permission to do the same. Vulnerability is contagious in the best possible way. It opens doors, softens defenses, and creates spaces where people can breathe again. In those spaces, life feels lighter, not because it is easier, but because it is more real. We often believe that once we are confident enough, successful enough, or healed enough, then we will allow ourselves to be vulnerable. But vulnerability is not the reward at the end of the journey. It is the path itself. Confidence is not built before vulnerability. Confidence is built because of it. Each time you show up honestly and survive the outcome, you learn that you are more capable than you thought. An easy life is not about controlling outcomes. It is about trusting yourself to handle whatever outcomes arise. This trust grows when you stop abandoning yourself to please others, saying no when you mean no, setting boundaries without excessive explanations, and honoring your limits are all acts of vulnerability. They require you to risk disappointing others in order to stay aligned with yourself. Perfectionism often masquerades as high standards, but at its core, it is a fear-based strategy. It says, if I do everything perfectly, I can avoid blame, judgment, and pain. But perfectionism does not protect us. It isolates us. It keeps us stuck, exhausted, and afraid to begin. Vulnerability invites us to trade perfection for progress and self-judgment for curiosity. Courage is not loud. Often it is quiet and deeply personal. It is sending the message you've been drafting for days. It is admitting you don't know what comes next. It is asking for support without knowing how it will be received. Courage does not always look heroic. Sometimes it looks like staying open in a world that rewards armor. When we numb ourselves to avoid pain, we don't just numb the difficult emotions. We numb joy, gratitude, creativity, and love. You cannot selectively numb feelings. Vulnerability allows us to experience the full range of human emotion. And while that includes fear and sadness, it also includes deep connection and meaning. An easy life is not emotionally flat. It is emotionally honest. Belonging is not something you earn by fitting in. It is something you experience when you allow yourself to be seen. Fitting in requires you to shapeshift into who you think you should be. Belonging requires you to be who you are. Vulnerability is the gateway to true belonging because it says, "This is me," without guarantees. It takes courage to believe that you are enough as you are, especially in a world that constantly tells you to improve, fix, and optimize yourself. Growth is important, but growth rooted in self-rejection will never feel satisfying. Vulnerability allows growth to come from self-acceptance rather than self-criticism. You don't grow because you're broken. You grow because you're alive. An easy life is one where you stop measuring your worth by external validation. Likes, praise, and approval can feel good, but they are unstable foundations. Vulnerability helps you build an internal sense of worth that doesn't collapse when feedback disappears or criticism appears. When you know who you are, you don't need to defend it constantly. We often wait for clarity before taking action, but clarity often comes from action. Vulnerability is stepping forward without seeing the whole path. It is trusting that you will figure things out as you go. Life rarely offers certainty up front. The illusion that it does keeps us stuck. Movement, even imperfect movement, creates momentum. Being vulnerable with yourself is just as important as being vulnerable with others. It means telling yourself the truth about what you feel, what you need, and what you can realistically handle. It means letting go of harsh self-talk and replacing it with honest reflection. An easy life begins when your inner world becomes a place of support rather than constant pressure. There is freedom in admitting that you don't have everything figured out. Freedom in saying, "I'm learning," instead of pretending to be an expert in your own life. Vulnerability creates space for curiosity. When you stop trying to be right, you start being open, and openness is where growth quietly happens. The future belongs to those who are willing to be seen without guarantees. In a rapidly changing world, adaptability matters more than certainty. Vulnerability makes you adaptable because it keeps you connected to yourself and others. It allows you to respond instead of react, to learn instead of defend, to evolve instead of freeze. An easy life is not about escaping discomfort. It is about developing a healthy relationship with it. When you stop treating discomfort as an enemy, it becomes a teacher. It shows you where you care, where you are growing, and where you are being invited to expand. Vulnerability turns discomfort into information rather than threat. At the end of the day, vulnerability is not something you do once and master forever. It is a daily practice. Some days it feels natural. Other days it feels exhausting. Both are part of the process. What matters is not perfection, but willingness. Willingness to show up again, to stay open, and to choose connection over protection. The secret to an easy life is not hiding from who you are. It is embracing yourself fully and allowing life to meet you there. Vulnerability is not the weight you carry. It is the weight you put down. When you stop pretending, stop performing, and stop armoring up, you create space for a life that feels lighter, deeper, and more real. And perhaps that is the real power of vulnerability. Not that it makes life painless, but that it makes life worth living.